Alright, so this edge protector 210-6-54, the distance between these two arcs right here is 3.25. Each of the arcs all the way around, the radius is 1.62. The difference between this center point and this center point is 1 inch. The thickness of the entire part is 0.25, so that means that this radius right here, this inside radius, is 1.25 and the outside is 1.5. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we're going to do this very similar to the way we did it in AutoCAD. We'll just start like this, and we're going to draw an arc here. I'll draw another arc outside of that. Oops. Like that. We're going to say that they have the same center point to eliminate any problems right away. Draw a line down like this, come over this way, come up, attach it to that end point there. And we're just sketching first. That's okay. We're just sketching. Okay. Alright, so we'll say that these two we want to always be parallel. We want this and this to be parallel. And we want this and this to be parallel. We'll go ahead and say we want this to be horizontal. We actually want to do this is make this one and this one collinear, so they're always the same length. We'll say that this and this are tangent. We're going to go ahead and do a coincident constraint and make that endpoint there, this endpoint, those endpoints touch. Then we'll do a tangent constraint there, tangent constraint here. So we should be good on that. And I think I'll go ahead and make the center point of this on the origin there. Okay. So I think just to make it easier to see, look at that. See what happens there? Just grab that and move that down, and I found where I had a little bit of a mistake right there. So we're going to say that this and this are coincident with one another. Did I do something wrong? That and that need to be coincident. So that's good. So now we'll go out here. We're going to add that radius to that was 1.5. Wonder if I didn't do the tangent here. Doesn't look like it. 1.5. This one was 1.25. 1.25. And then this distance from here down to here was going to be 1 plus 1.62. 1 plus 1.62. Finish that sketch, and then we're going to extrude that. The entire length will be 3.25 plus 1.62 plus 1.62. 3.25 plus 1.62 plus 1.62. We can do out the math if we really wanted to, but this is just to show that the Inventor does the math for you. So we're going to add a fillet. We'll click on this little line right there, and we want that fillet radius to be 1.62. So we get that one, click this little line, click the little line there, and we're going to go back over here and get that little line, and those should all be done. Alright, so now we'll click save, and this part was let's see, it was 210-6-54, and it's called the saddle. Let's save that. Alright, so we'll move on now to making the actual drawing and create that. So I do think we're going to try to do this again. Let's try this one on a B-size sheet. So we should be able to get, B-size isn't going to work because that was just too tall. So we'll create that again, C-size, and that'll get us a good base view. So let's go ahead and change this to this view here. So that was one we want to be our front view, right view, top view, right there, right click and OK. We'll double click on this view, change it to half scale. That's good. Okay. Alright, now what we do want to do is that there is going to be a center point here on this, which means there's a center line that goes straight through right there, like that. So let's do this one first. We'll put a center line between those two, center line bisector. We are just going to want to draw a regular old center line. So click center line, go from this line right here, just draw it straight out across. So you should be able to just draw that straight out there. So we'll put that. Oops, somehow or another I messed that up. Well, I don't know why that didn't work. Alright, to create the center line we want here. So this radius comes down to right there, which works out to fit perfectly right here because it draws that arc separate line. So I'm going to click a line here, come down to right there. There's an endpoint right there. Right click and create, and it adds that center point on there. So that gives us the center points we want, and we probably want to do a center point on this and this. So we know where those center points are for those radii. So let's start by doing a dimension from here to here. Oops, did I mess that up? I want to do a dimension that goes from here to here. Alright. We also want to put a radius on here, and we're just going to call it typical, TYP, period. Alright. We do want to do a dimension that goes from, say, that endpoint to this endpoint. And so that's how you set that one up. Alright, then we'll put a dimension that goes from here, tells us what that radius is, dimension that tells us what this radius is, and we're going to put a dimension on this line right here to tell us how thick that part is. Alright, so that should be it. I'm going to go back here. Thought I changed this already, but maybe I didn't. Change this to 1/2 inch. And so that should be everything that we need to know. So it tells us from here to here what that distance is, down to there, and then down to there overall. So it's all there. Alright, so we'll click Save. And properties, summary, title. It is a saddle. Oops. Cattle Run High School, or you could put engineering or whatever your company is. Alright, and then we go to export. Oh, click Save. Go to export. And make the saddle.